Okay. A little more light. There we go. Okay, looks like we are live. We got some green light action. We got the microphone working. Hello, everybody. Good morning.
Hello. Good morning.
Good morning. Good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Naked and Famous Denim Day, Friday evening, 7 p.m. Eastern for most of you, Saturday morning for us, because we are live streaming from the future headquarters of Naked and Famous Denim, right here in Yokohama, Japan. My name is Bahzad.
I'm Risa.
We are the earthly representatives of Naked and Famous Denim. We do a lot of things around the company, but one thing that we don't do is live stream from HQ in Montreal.
Well, sometimes you do.
Yeah, sometimes we do. Not very often, but I used to. Mm-hmm. But if you've been following us for a long time, you know the story behind all that. Welcome to the live stream, everybody. Let's check in with the chat. Let's see where everybody is tuning in from today. And if you're tuning in on the live stream replay, let us know in the comments where you are tuning in from, and let us know what you're wearing today. What are you wearing this weekend to celebrate the mid-January, June.
Wow.
Mid-June.
January.
Yeah, I don't know where my brain is, but let's know what how you're celebrating mid-June with your raw denim outfit. So let's check in with the chat, see where everybody's tuning in from. We've got BD, the producer, tuning in from the Niagara region, Ontario, Canada, Niagara region, home of the Niagara Falls. If you've never been there, there's a particular episode of The Office that really encapsulates the moment quite well.
That's it?
One of the better episodes. They're all good episodes, but I would say top 10 episodes of The Office is the Niagara Falls.
Because
don't ruin it. You spoiled it for everyone.
Sorry.
You spoiled the entire series for everybody.
Well,
I'm not even going to repeat what you said. But if you heard it, sorry. If you didn't hear it, go watch The Office. It's really good.
It is really good.
Because they go to Niagara Falls in one episode. Also, one time they go to Winnipeg.
Right.
Yep.
Yes.
A lot of
Charles Mary.
That's it. So there you go. Rice W5. Hello from Birmingham, UK. Good to see you. Austin. Hello from Colorado. Invis Ian's DC is in the house. Chinook says hello from Seattle. Welcome. Max, hello from Denver, Colorado. We've got multiple Coloradoians in the house. What do we got here? We've got Dusty Rad Title, howdy, from St. Paul, Minnesota. Nicholas Vilpu, good morning. Not sure how you guys do it. 8 a.m. every Saturday. I'm late most of the time. Doesn't matter if you're late. You're here. That's all that matters. Lee Shangzhou, hello from Sydney, Australia. Just picked up the Elephant XS jacket for Australian winter. Never had such a heavy denim jacket with stretch. That's right, with stretch, the XS. Yeah, you headed into Australian winter time.
Yeah. It cannot be that severe though, right?
I don't know. It can be in the sense that, I've been in Thailand where it was like 40 degrees during the day and just you're dying from the heat, and then at night it's like 17 and you're like, oh, this is how 17 can feel cold. Right. I guess it's just how you're climatized.
Yeah.
Topher Cobra, hello from California. We've got Cheddar's Butterworth, hello from Vancouver, BC. Grego Malaya, Hawaii, aloha.
Ooh, a lot of Hawaiian people.
Yeah, it's fantastic. We got to go back to Hawaii. Yes. The Curious Sailor, Ohio gozaimasu, from Oak Harbor, Washington. Ohio gozaimasu.
I like that he wrote Ohio gozaimasu.
I like it.
Is that how you spell it? That's very cute.
The third writes howdy from Kentucky. Howdy. You know what? Just so I learn more of the hello greetings. If you have a native language, let me know your hello greeting, and I will attempt it. I'm sure most of them are not so difficult.
I'm sure some of them are really difficult in that if somebody says it to you, you might be able to repeat it. But if they wrote it, like 안녕.
Yeah, 안녕's easy.
But if somebody wrote it, would you be able to say it?
Maybe. Thank you, Arrested Development, for teaching me about 안녕. We've got Eddie Mendez, Chicago, here in my double dirty fades. Fantastic. Buster Jenkins, Clearwater, Florida. We've got Call Me By Your Email. Hi, I know how to say hi. From Portland, Oregon. Vitaly, Fort Collins, Colorado. Hi, is wearing the red gradient core. And then Shane, hi, from Vancouver, Washington. It's great to see everybody. THM Thermo, Labas from Lithuania. Labas. All right. Labas to you. Everybody, welcome. It's great to see everybody here. We've got a great group of folks, all of the best raw denim people sitting right here, right now. We're going to talk about some raw denim topics. Let's talk about the first topic, which isn't, maybe it's not raw denim related, but maybe it is. We could talk about that. But it's the surprise restock of the Kikko Denim chore coat. Topher Cobra writes, given the popularity of the Kikko Denim, are there any plans to make more Jacquard fabrics? So we'll get into that after in just a second. The Kikko Denim chore coat, if you missed it last week, and if you missed today's email, we did release another batch of them. Turns out that there were a few hanging out in our warehouse.
Only chore coat.
Yeah, only the chore coat. So we had some customers who, for some reason, I don't know why, decided not to take their order of chore coats.
Well, maybe it was a little late in the season.
Well, they would have sold them all out.
Yes.
So
that's their loss.
That's their loss. So they were in our warehouse, and they are like, nah, I don't want them. Okay. So we have them now.
Yes.
And we have them available for you right now on Tate and Yoko.com. So this is presumably the last of them. I don't think that there's going to be any more, unless something miraculous happens. But if you're looking for it, now's your chance to get it if you missed it last weekend. So check that out on Tate and Yoko.com. Kikko Denim chore coats are back.
Yeah. I did make sure that we didn't have denim jackets.
Yes.
So there's not going to be a denim jacket. If you're looking for a jacket and you want a denim jacket, you're holding out for it, it's not going to be there.
Yeah.
Maybe try chocolate.
Yes. Okay. Pedro, act now. Quantities are limited. Operators are standing by. It's true. This is the infomercial hour with Naked and Famous Denim. Okay. Now, to answer Topher Cobra's question, are there any plans to make more Jacquard fabrics? This actually was never our first Jacquard fabric. We've done maybe more like, we've done like the judo jeans or like more traditional
sashikos.
Like sashiko looking fabrics before. So the Kikko Denim wasn't our first. It wasn't our last. We are working on Fall Winter 24 right now. So this week, Risa, Brandon, and I were just kind of compiling all of our ideas, putting them together, reaching out to some mills for confirmations on fabrics and things like that. So there are some plans for more Jacquards down the line.
Yeah.
So
and we have to say that this Fall Winter 24 version of it is purely in reaction to how successful Kikko was. Honestly, we always liked these fabrics.
Yes.
But they never really caught on like it did with Kikko. So.
Yeah, Kikko was the first time it really took off. Mm-hmm. Right, we've had them before, and they've had fine reactions, which is why we kind of just did them every now and then. Mm-hmm. But I think because of the Kikko reaction from this season, we're like okay, we got to find it, and then we also got to find something crazy. Doesn't necessarily have to be crazy, but at least something interesting and in the realm. Because in the past, maybe doing those more traditional sashiko styles, maybe people have seen that around, right? And so with the Kikko, because of the shape, the design, the pattern, maybe that intrigues people a little bit more. Maybe, I don't know. So I think we're gonna go for more non-traditional Jacquard style, styling in that kind of realm, that Sashiko realm. So
definitely rinse washed. The fact that fabric was rinse washed was definitely part of the success, I think.
Yeah.
It's just that people could instantly see how it's going to fade.
Right. So this to the next question, Vitaly writes, Kikko in black in the future. It's being worked on. I can say I can tell you right now it's being worked on. So there you go. Take that to the bank. They won't give you anything for it though. Not worth anything. No monetary value. Ronaldo Ramirez writes, corduroy blazer in the near future again. We never did a corduroy blazer. The blazer that we made was like a velvet. That being said, corduroy and velvet are very similar in terms of they're cut from they're cut from a similar cloth. Anyhow, that said, for fall 24, I'm looking at some really amazing corduroy fabric. Really amazing corduroy fabric. Yeah. I can't give too much away yet because it's all very preliminary. But I want to have some corduroy in fall 24. I can tell you that. Okay. Chinook writes, will any of the duck canvas be available in the True Guy? Yes. So as we do new productions of our core, like anytime we do a replenishment production, we will add the True Guy fit in that style. So the core styles will slowly trickle out with True Guy options. And
eventually everything will be available in
the True Guy.
True Guy, yeah.
So watch out for that. Watch out for announcements on those things. So coming soon. More True Guy options. You guys love them. I love them. Yeah. They've had a really fantastic reaction. I've seen just on the forums a lot of people's praise of the fit. Also a lot more strong guy in the forums I've been noticing lately, which I really like. One thing, it's my own fault. I say it 100 times, but I need to make like dedicated fit videos. And one thing I would like to, because one thing that we're getting is that there is a new found following for strong guy fit, but I think sometimes people are having a little bit of a difficulty figuring out how to wear them because they're kind of wide. They're supposed to be wide at the bottom, and they're like, I don't know how to wear these with sneakers. My tip to you is, I see people doing like a chunky cuff on them, which is fine, but I think a real like kind of stylish way to do it is get them hemmed just around ankle length and then do a small flip up on them. And then that way you can wear them with sneakers, you can wear them with boots, you can wear them with moccasin style shoes. Like you get a lot of options in there. And
one thing is that because it's such a wide fit, when you do a big cuff, it kind of looks very heritagey. Whereas like maybe your style isn't that heritagey, and maybe that's why you don't like have like you're not feeling right about it.
Yeah.
But if you do small cuff or no cuff at all, even
right. I just find that when they're a little bit shorter, then they're a lot easier for people to kind of wear them day to day, right? Like with a heritage modern style that sounds like a straight leg boot cut with a tapered flare, but a heritage modern style, just a little bit short, colorful socks, like some nice anonymousm socks or something of the realm, and like a low cut boot would look really nice. Like I always defer to Yucatan boots. But yeah. Anyways, I got to get some pictures up of that, and maybe I can help direct people on the way to wear them nicely.
Yeah, it would be cool if we had a video where we can just look at some people's styling and, you know, of different, like, obviously we're going to explain the fit, we're going to, you know, talk about different aspects of it, and then we show, like, a different styling
Yeah, here's
of
how
it.
to wear it a couple different ways.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That would be a cool video.
Right. Oh, jeez. I wish my full-time job was making videos.
There's a lot. Yeah. But then you get frustrated about that too, because, you know, it's never enough.
Yeah.
Either way, it's never enough.
Right. We need if we had a full production team and, like, you know,
if we could just,
what we need, like, a camera person. We need a person who's like, we need the producer. So somebody's like, okay, this is the videos that we're doing. Here's what we're going to talk about. Biggity bam. And then just, even the camera person could be the editor. But we need at least those people, and then just our free time. It's like, okay, we're going to go shoot, like, 4 videos today, and then you guys handle, like, the editing and all that other stuff. It's, doing
editing, I think the part that takes a long time is editing and having B-rolls.
Mm-hmm.
I think that you could be a producer in a way that we can, like, you know, have a plan easily. I don't think that's a problem. It's just that, like, the tedious part that takes a long time, it's important, but it takes a long time, could be handled by a dedicated person.
Yeah.
Or two.
Yes. Or yeah. Anyhow, I mean, if YouTube became a business for us, or as, like, you know, fashion content as, like revenue generating content, that would be, like, something different. I could.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really.
Like
it's maybe it would have to be a different channel where it's just, like, raw denim style. Anyways, that would be a totally different thing, because that way you could justify, like, the cost of, like, having the employees and managing it like that. But yeah, on the main channel here, I just don't want to monetize it. I just don't.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense.
Like, most of the time we're talking about the new products that we want people to know about. And if we monetize it.
It feels like to watch a commercial before that just seems wrong. So, anyways, I know we make a certain amount of content, but we also lack a certain amount of content. I know. It's just it's a time thing. But you guys know that because you watch me complain about it all the time. Okay. The Curious Sailor with a curious question. When is the Empire State Selvedge going to be available online?
Never.
It will not be available online. That is a destination jean. If you
really want it,
you gotta go to New York.
To New York.
Yeah. That is the whole concept behind it, and the La Belle Provence jean that we have at Tate and Yoko, Montreal. I really wanted to create a product that is you gotta go there to get it type of product.
Yeah.
You know, we've lost so much. As much as it's great to be able to have access to practically everything now through the internet, I feel like we lost the
specialness.
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%. It's not to make it hard for some people to attain it. The idea is that whoever gets it would have this special feeling. It's like, yes, I got it because I was here.
Yes.
And not because I
bought it online and
you paid for shipping or something.
Right.
It's not.
And, like, I don't want to take away from the specialness of having something you bought online either, right? Because, like, everything that we make is pretty, like, seasonal stuff especially is quite limited, right? It's not like we're making 5,000 pairs of anything. In the core, sure. But in, like, seasonal stuff, definitely not. But Empire State, you came to New York, you're gonna bring home a souvenir. How many things are even souvenirs anymore, right? Like, if I want to get an I Love New York t-shirt, it's not gonna be hard to buy one on the internet, right? So the fact that you gotta go in, you made the effort to come into the shop and now you have an opportunity to have something that you can only get at the shop. I think that's a very special thing, so I want to preserve that.
Yeah. And it's not like New York is a very accessible place for a lot of people. There's a lot of direct flights from everywhere in the country or everywhere in the world, basically. So I think it's a good one. Montreal, maybe a little bit less, but it's still,
Yeah.
it's still like a major city.
Yes.
So I think it's not just like, when you go to New York, like that's not the only purpose. You can enjoy New York, and you can enjoy Montreal, the rest of it too. So
yeah. Obviously, New York gets a lot more foot traffic than Montreal, but I do find that like every now and then, people roll through Montreal. Yeah.
Yeah, and if our jeans could be, one of the reasons, maybe that would make us feel better.
Right.
Great.
So, there you go. Please come to New York. We welcome you. I promise you'll have a good time.
And Montreal.
Okay, a good comment in here that I'm missing. Pedro writes, current state of fade, Nifty Thrifty on Instagram has made some good YouTube videos talking about the fits. On YouTube, he's boots, jeans, and the odd watch. That's right. So boots, jeans, and the odd watch, Nifty Thrifty, great content creator. I think I highlighted him on one of the videos before, but you know what? It's been a while, so let's go over there and find him and show you guys who to look for, because he does do a lot of great content, and he does highlight Naked and Famous quite a lot, but he also likes to highlight other Canadian made products as well. So I'm a big fan of that. Let's go over to the browser window. Boots, jeans, and the odd watch. His subscribers 1.4K, so he's growing. Everybody go over there and give him a follow as well. And you can see he does a lot of great reviews consistently. Every couple of days he puts up a new video. So he's a big fan of all kinds of different well-made products. So something that I think our audience here will enjoy, especially because there's better videos than I've made explaining our fits. He talked about like the updates to the Weird guy. He compares the different fits, Weird, Easy, and True. So great content here, and you should all go and give him a follow. Fade updates. Everybody loves fade updates. This particular Timex watch, I really want it because I used to have that one when I was a kid.
Oh,
yeah.
Get it.
Yeah, I should.
Can you find it?
Yeah, I think Huckberry did a release on it. I think. So anyway, I gotta look into that one. I used to also have a Timex watch, which had forget what the technology was, but I forget. Anyway, it had a stupid name. Maybe it wasn't stupid, but it was a smartwatch before a smartwatch. So on the watch itself, it had a little tiny camera, right? Or maybe it was just a sensor. And you'd have this software on your computer. And so you could have, it was like a data bank watch. So what you could do is like you can type in little messages or phone numbers of like stuff that you wanted to remember. And so you would enter that into the software, and then the software would show these like, when you wanted to transmit the data, the screen would turn black and it would just have like all these lines that it would show. Right, just like horizontal lines across the screen, like gibbered up, and then you'd hold the watch to the screen, and it would read the data like that, and then you would have like someone's phone number in your watch. Now I'm like, oh, now I can remember so and so.
Like on a computer screen.
Yeah, so there was no like data cable. It was like showing, I guess code to the watch, and the watch was picking up that it's like receiving data.
Wait, so it has to be like a special like thing on the computer, like you type into?
Yeah. There was a software for it, and you type it in, and then it would.
And that software is just so that you can transmit that information to your watch.
Yeah, and then what I would do it what I would do with it, I'd keep my friends' phone numbers or whatever in there, and then I would put in like math equations because I couldn't remember the math equations for the tests, or I would put my cheat notes in the watch, and so like no teacher was ever the wiser to that.
So they were aware of the needs in that department, maybe.
The good people at Timex?
Yeah.
Perhaps. But
well, I mean, like, yeah, we weren't allowed to wear, because, some watches had calculators and stuff like that. We weren't allowed to wear watches like that in tests.
Right. Well,
there was a good movie. Oh, my God. That was a great movie back, I think, in the 90s about, like, cheating tests.
Really?
Yeah. It was hilarious. It was, like, a lot of, like, little ideas like that, just those little gimmicks.
Great little gimmicks, by the way. Just wonderful. This is the exact watch I had. So let's check that one out. The Timex.
That is pretty chunky.
Yeah, Timex Datalink.
I want to see where the data is linking.
See that little tiny camera right there? That little tiny. So that's how it would transmit the information. And then it would have just like on the very, very bottom here of the screen, it would have the text data. So that wasn't the one no, mine had a button on the front, a big button on the front. But yeah, Timex Datalink. Guys, if you want to go wow, that's a cool watch. I like old digital watches. I'm a big fan. I like new ones too. Okay. BD, I think we're going to Montreal for our first time next year. Tate and Yoko is a must. BD
is finally in Montreal.
He's coming. The producer's coming home.
Yeah, that's great.
That's fantastic. Well, I hope you have a good time. Maybe if we're there at the same time, it would be fantastic to meet up. Cheddar's Buttersworth, I might be moving to Toronto in a year or two, and I might have to journey to New York or Montreal for some of those destination jeans. Well, if you're in Toronto, you're close to both cities. New York, well, both cities are like an hour flight away from Toronto. If you're driving from Toronto to Montreal, about 6 hours.
It's not very close.
It's not very close if you drive, but it's not a terrible drive because it's just straight.
It is very straight. That is the straightest road that I've ever driven. 6 hours.
Yeah, there's no turns. It's just
straight.
Yeah.
It's so boring, but it's kind of, sometimes it's nice.
Yeah. The trip to New York is a winding path from Toronto. That's a long drive.
You know what's great about straight road is that, like, there isn't many places for cops to hide. So you have a view.
You're cruising.
Yeah.
So, Cheddar's Buttersworth, enjoy Toronto. It's my original hometown. Okay, Pedro. If someone would start selling that jean on eBay, could you get that person shut down? Empire State Selvedge. No, I wouldn't want to shut them down. Once they're your jeans, they're your jeans.
Yeah.
You want to resell them? Go ahead. You want to set them on fire? That's up to you. Once you own the jean, it is yours. It is yours to do whatever you want with.
And it's not like
I'm not offended by that.
Yeah, we are aware of that possibility, but it's not gonna be a major issue. I don't think. If you just want to buy from a third party, or, whatever. I mean, whatever works.
Yeah. Ken, I have a question. Okay. Where did the name Shield and Devil Fox, I know it's not, but let me live my Yu Yu Hakusho dreams, come from?
Yes, so it's Tate and Yoko.
Oh, Shield and Fox.
So it's just like Tate is also a word for shield.
Ah, I see.
Yeah, things like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I think you're okay. So you're under the impression that it has the other meaning.
I think he also knows that it's not, but
Oh, okay.
It's just pointing out that is. It
Okay.
could be that.
I see. Okay, well, the name Tate and Yoko, some people call it Tate and Yoko, assuming it's two people, Yoko being Risa. It's just the amount of times people called Risa Yoko in the store was...
It's only because Yoko's such a famous name. And it's not like there's multiple of them.
No.
There's just one.
There's just one Yoko Ono. And so everyone presumes that you're Yoko and that there's a person named Tate somewhere.
Which makes sense. It is a very good guess.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't blame them for making that assumption at all. They're like, who's Tate? I'm like, it's not Tate. It's Tate.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not going to understand that unless you hear us say it. So.
Yeah. Although sometimes you say Tate just... So,
yeah, I say Tate just because...
If you catch him saying Tate, he's being...
It's a joke.
Yeah, it is a joke.
So... the name comes from warp and weft, or like horizontal and vertical, in Japanese. Yeah. The original name for Tate and Yoko was going to be chaîne et trame, which in French is warp and weft. So the front face and the back face of the fabric, or the the vertical and horizontal of the fabric. But we realized that if we called the store chaîne et trame, nobody would be able to say it and or spell it.
Spelling is more of a problem. Saying is whatever, but
yeah. It was not going to be so friendly for non-French speakers. So we thought, okay, what else is in that theme and realm? Like, we didn't want to call the store Warp and Weft. It just sounded a little... Wasn't...
Too generic.
Yeah, right?
Too direct, maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So, we went with Tate and Yoko, as, naturally, that was the next best thing. Or the best thing, really. I think it ended up being the best thing. Because everybody can say it, and everybody can remember it. And obviously, everybody can spell it.
And I also remember that the first
logo
was a smiley face, and that was like when Brandon discovered this like a little drawing
Japanese nursery rhyme song
thing. I think he really liked it, and that was part of the reason too.
Yeah. So if you remember that old logo, which if you go on Google Maps, the canopy above the store might still. I don't know if it doesn't have it anymore.
No.
I don't remember. Anyways, it still might have the old logo. But if you go on Google Maps, you could definitely, if you go in the back in time stuff, you could definitely see it.
Can't find it online anymore.
Pedro writes, cheat sheets. I remember when I first heard about that, I was like, you can do what? Haha, open the floodgates. Here's this definitely didn't happen in Japanese schools.
Right.
But when we were in like later junior high, maybe like grade 8, and like in high school, some classes during the test, the teacher would say you're allowed to have a cheat sheet, and like you could have like a card sized piece of paper where you can write down, stuff that you need to remember.
Like anything you want?
Yes. And I'm like, are you out of your mind? Do you know how much I can fit on this piece of paper? Mm-hmm. And so I would just, as small as humanly possible, write down basically the textbook. And I'm like, go ahead, test me. I mean...
That's such a bizarre thing.
I guess the teachers realize that, look, they're going to cheat. You might as well let them cheat. And if they're going to write the stuff down, at least they're writing it down. Right? It's not like we could have typed up these cheat sheets. It was like we at least had to do a minuscule amount of research to try to figure out what we think might be on the test. So in a way,
memorizing maybe it wasn't really what, like, they were giving up on people memorizing it. They were just like, at least do the work.
Yeah.
Like write down whatever you want to.
Maybe.
Because writing down, it actually, processes through your brain. So it's kind of studying.
Yeah. So yeah, we had that.
It's insane. But again, going back to that movie, because I haven't thought of this movie in like 20-something years, but it was such a, just like part of it was also like tiniest, like thin paper where they just write minuscule letters and roll it up and put it in like, I don't know, ring or whatever. Just insane things like that.
Right. Yeah, cheating in high school. Also, just taking someone's test off of their desk and doing one of those. You never did one of them?
No.
Yeah. No, I did that.
That's very obvious.
Yeah. The amount of obvious cheating that went on in my, like, schoolwork was, I remember during exams, I'd be like, psst, and, like, somebody would just hold up their thing.
But why would they do that, though?
Because they didn't care. Because their mark wasn't going to be, like, ruined because I got a good mark also.
So see, I think that's also a thing, like, where it's like, yeah, it wasn't. I guess it didn't, like, some people, especially people who know the answers to the test questions, who are good at these tests, would not be the helpful one because they're very competitive. They want to have good grades, and if everybody else has good grades, then like the curve.
Oh, they didn't curve us. They did not curve us.
Yeah. So. Not that like I was in a very studious.
You just went to school here.
But yeah.
Very different.
I just wanna remember.
The Raven writes, funny story after buying my Empire State Selvedge. I got back home to my hotel room. I realized I forgot to pack pajamas, so I slept in my Empire Selvedge for 9 days straight. It's a great way to break them in. Fantastic. Cathedral Ring. I think most of us are the type of collectors who would only want those if we purchased them in that city. It just wouldn't be as special. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. I think people do get it, so that's why like we don't really care about what happens after.
Yeah. Speaking of collecting, let's talk about collecting.
Okay.
Because this was a little denim topic I thought was kind of interesting. So all of us here, either we're casual raw denim fans, we're intrigued by raw denim a little bit, we wear it, we enjoy it. And then there are some of us who are beyond just, this is for fashion, this is what I like to wear. It goes into the realm of, this is what I collect, right? Now, collecting is a different way of consuming than someone who's, building a wardrobe, right? I've got nice clothes. This is the aesthetic I'm going for, and I build my wardrobe around that. And then, something's worn out, something I'm tired of, I get rid of it, sell it, donate it, whatever. Collectors are, I want it because there's something about it that I like, and I'm going to get enjoyment out of it by maybe simply owning it, right?
But I think there's also, like, blurred lines in between those two categories, whereas, like, people might just, have all the intention of wearing them, but then once you go through them and say, like, it's, it has enough holes that they didn't fix, so they don't want to fix that, and then they can't let it go because it's, you put so much time into it.
Right.
So that's like you're collecting it at that point because you're not wearing them, and then you're not throwing it away. But
sure, some people may not consider that collecting. Anyway, look, you're right. There's a lot of gradient in between. Sometimes people just hold on to things, and maybe they have a little bit of a hoarder mentality. I think that's part of collecting also. But the other thing about raw denim collecting is that there are the jeans that you might own that you're not going to wear. Maybe they're not your size. Maybe that's just an interesting jean that you have. But then there's the part of, like, this is the stack of jeans that I have, This is the one that I'm wearing right now. I'm gonna wear those. So there's that aspect as well. Like, it's a collection that you can also wear and enjoy, and use. Much like watches as well. Like, if you're a watch, if you have a few like nice watches, one or two or three, you have different watch maybe for a different occasion, but then it expands out. Like, I got a lot of watches, and it's like I like them all. I wear them occasionally. Sometimes these are ones are maybe a little too wild to wear, but I like it anyway, so I have it. But with denim collecting, maybe we'll start at the beginning. Like, how do you start a denim collection, right?
It's like any other collection.
Well, what's a good place to start? How do you like?
Is a good place to start?
Like,
it depends on your interest and why you're collecting them, I guess.
Right.
Like, like some people just want to start collecting from very basic ones. Or some people, if your collection is all about weird jeans, then you do collect something that's, crazy and never been made by anybody else or whatever. My
collecting maybe started more off.
I gotta take this snowy hair.
I gotta further.
Driving me nuts.
I started off as maybe a little bit of a fashion hoarder. I got my first pair of, I would have like jeans. I didn't really care. Like, you wore them because like this is what the kids wear, right? You got the Levi's and the Ralph Lauren, the polo jeans, and the crappy mall jeans that you bought at Randy River. And there was a store in the mall where I worked called International Clothiers. And it was like one of those stores where you could buy like a shirt and a tie and a tie clip in a box for like $19, or like a suit for $99. Like, anyways, I didn't know anything.
Yeah.
I just, they had a Boxing Day special. It was like a belt and a jeans for like $20. I'm like, great, this is for me. And maybe my mom found a pair. My mom brought me, my mom goes shopping, brings me home like a nice pair. I remember I had like a pair of these Ralph Lauren jeans black polo, Ralph Lauren polo jeans. RL Sport, maybe it was. Anyways, I just remember there are these black ones that I really liked. And I didn't really think too much about jeans until Seven Jeans. There was a brand called Seven Jeans, and there still is a brand, and that was my first, that was the first pair of designer jeans, quote unquote designer jeans that I ever had, and they were also, I think when they came out, like they were Canadian dollars, like $225 or something like that.
Ooh,
back then, and wow. That was a lot of money for jeans back then. It's still a lot of money today, but back then they were like that. They were $220, $225, something like that. I worked at Holt Renfrew, so I had a discount. Although when I started at Holt Renfrew, my discount wasn't as deep as later on. But anyways, doesn't matter.
Oh, really? As you get like...
No, they changed...
Oh, I see.
Actually, when I first started, it was like based on if you were a manager, or they had something called President's Club. So President's Club was an award that they would give out basically every year to the top performer. And so, like, we had to wear the store pin, and it was like this gold pin that had like an HR. It looked really kind of... I thought it looked pretty regal. I thought it looked really nice. But if you were President's Club, yours had 2 little crystals in it.
Ooh.
Yeah, so you could walk around the store like...
That's a good idea, actually. It encourages you to perform
I wanted
better.
that pin so bad. I really wanted that pin so bad. And then, like, 2 years into working there, they changed, like, the entire company look. So it went from, like, gold and gray to, like, pink and black. And so our pins changed. They got rid of President's Club. They changed the discount policy. Like, they changed all that. But nevertheless, my first pair of, like, nice jeans was a pair of 7 jeans. And I really felt like this is the best value for money. I felt that, like, even they were, like, washed and stretchy and, like, they were just comfortable. And I was young and I liked the notoriety of like the little pocket squiggle on the back, and like, you know, I felt like, oh, like,
yeah,
I'm a big shot, you know.
like, I'm
these.
in it.
Yeah.
Like if people who know sees me
Yeah.
wearing these jeans, they know how much I spent on these jeans.
I was young, you know. We all go through
we
that.
all go through that. And, you know, the part of it is also the fact that it was $200 and something or
No
something like
question about it. I certainly felt some way about that. Like,
it's like I decided to spend this much money, even though I didn't have to, to get the jeans because I care about fashion.
Right.
I care about, you know, products that I wear kind of thing.
But that sparked a lot of, like, my consumption. Whereas, like, I just wanted to have, like, kind of the hype jean. So it went from, like, you know, the 7 hype, and then, like, you know, I had some amount of True Religion jeans. I had whatever the flavor of the week was. I had. So, mind you, I worked in that environment, and it was definitely on us to be wearing the product. So, and then I got into Diesel. And then I got into raw jeans. I actually got into raw jeans right before I got into Diesel and was working for Diesel.
Wait, did you get into Diesel as in, like, did you personally get interested?
I had Diesel jeans, but then I started wearing raws, and then I started working for Diesel. And then I'm like, I can't wear my raws to work. So I would wear my Diesels to work. And then literally as soon as I would come home, I would switch into my raws and wear my raws for the rest of the day. And I would even sleep in them. So I was living this double life. And then I remember at one point, Diesel came out with like a raw kind of denim. It wasn't like a raw fade, but a raw look. And like, I didn't even wear those. I'm like, nah, those aren't for me. Like, I'm not going to wear those because they anyways, didn't matter. But I was consuming a lot of jeans because I just loved having like these prestigious jeans. And then when I got into raw denim, I'm like, forget that. Forget that hype. Like, that's nonsense. Like, stop that. Buy for quality. And then as I learned, because I was only, back then, there wasn't any resources. I mean, the resources were forums and hearsay, and just I was buying these import Japanese magazines about raw denim and like heritage lifestyle. Obviously I couldn't read any of it, and I'm just looking through the pictures and I'm trying to figure out stuff little by little. But as I learned little by little, it just made my appreciation for raw denim that much more. So I just started anything, because number one, there wasn't a lot available at that time, but anything that was Selvedge, I was like, I gotta buy it. I gotta have it. And like, so if it had a different Selvedge edge, or if it was a slightly different color or anything, I was all over it. When Naked and Famous showed up, I was like, oh my God. Number one, like, they had this vintage blue pair, and I'm like, I have to have these. I've never seen raw denim, Selvedge denim in this color before in my life. I have to have this. This is the coolest thing I've ever seen. And that also sparked more in me, because, you know, before I was buying things maybe for the hype of it, you know, being a part of the scene. And then I started buying raw denim because I was genuinely just intrigued and fascinated by the nuances of the fabric. And so I felt like my consumption changed. Maybe instead of buying for somebody else, I was now buying because of something I liked. So I would just kept buying and learning. So there was the jeans that I would wear, and then I would go on these events where I buy like 3 or 5 or 7 pairs of jeans at a time, and like some of them have never been worn, and then I outgrow them, but I still have them in my pile, and I can still enjoy them that way. But how do if you want to start a collection of raw denim, I don't know. I mean, it worked for me, but I think that from my experience and mistakes, maybe there's a better way to go about it.
No, I think it's like collection is like, you don't, like, it's very rare, like, somebody is just like, I don't have anything right now, but I'm going to start a collection, and I'm going to start to buy doing this, buying that. Like, that's a very rare occasion when somebody build up a collection. When somebody build up a collection, usually is when you get into something and then you get into another thing and then you get into it and then it's like, oh wait, this is what I love and I'm just gonna start collecting.
Right. Well, I guess maybe if you're gonna start a collection of jeans, you're probably already into it.
Yeah.
You're right. So you're already into it, you own a couple pairs, and you're thinking like, well, if I want to have a collection,
I think
what do I do?
The question should be that...
No, I don't know what the question should be. Let's stick on to the question. And how do you start a collection? Like, if you're like, okay, I own a few pairs.
I already answered that question, though.
What should I do to, like, expand out, and how should I... Maybe what are some good tips that you can follow to get, like, put together a really neat collection? Mm-hmm. Right. So
again, I mean, it depends on what kind of collection you want to build.
Collection. I'm buying for the purposes of sometimes wearing maybe, but because I'm intrigued by denim.
What I meant was that, like, if you want a collection of jeans that are just, just more straightforward, or just a collection of weirdest jeans that you could ever find. Those are fun too. Obviously, like, just like things that, like, only, from a brand that only existed for 2 years in the world or whatever, or it was just the brand that, never, made the crazy stuff, but never made it out of America or whatever.
That could be fun. But yeah, I mean, I would say that, because you're already into it, you're going to have to sample a few things as you go down and then try to determine, like, what is this collection going to be? Like, is it going to be just find out what you really like about raw denim. And again, that's going to take a few samples. Like, you're going to have to own a few, wear a few pairs. And then if you want to say, like, I only want to have obscure brands, or it could be quite wide. How do you do it? Number one.
There's no one answer.
No, there's no one answer. I'm just trying to provide some tips. BD comes in here with maybe start with some sales.
Mm-hmm.
That's some very good advice. Start with the sales, because sometimes like the really out there weird stuff can end up on sale, or you might find them on resale websites, right? Because maybe somebody bought it, thought they were going to like it a little bit more than they did, and they end up like, I never wore it, I liked it, but, it's taking up space. Try to...
Wait. Never mind.
Right? If you...
Is your question more about, like, what you should have in the collection?
No. How do you collect? How do you collect?
Yeah, then, okay, yeah, definitely. That could go for a thrift store, hunting, maybe a second-hand, like... Because, I mean, unless you're, like, money is not a problem at all, then you don't really need to, I guess. But most people do have a limited resources.
Yeah, so
you shouldn't probably spend all of your money
don't
on
spend
jeans.
all your money on jeans. But, like, my point is, like,
is probably good.
How to start a collection, what are some advice that you can give to start that collection. And so trying to determine the things that you like. And then, if you could follow some kind of theme, like if you want to collect vintage jeans, then obviously find what kind of vintage jeans you
get very expensive.
It could get very expensive, but it could also be the thrill of the hunt, because by learning about vintage jeans and learning about those details, you can hit up that thrift store and maybe you're going to find treasure. Maybe you're going to find treasure. Or maybe, it's like one of those, you just make a post on your Facebook page and say, hey, who's got some old jeans in their closet that they're, not wearing?
Yeah.
Right? And maybe you might have some friends who are like, dude, I got so many clothes in my closet, I don't need them anymore. I've had,
Yeah, go to your parents' closet,
right.
Or somebody who might not be, like, understanding the value of what they have.
Or they don't care. They just want it out of their lives. right? I have, you might go to your parents' house and they're like, I've had these jeans since the 70s.
Yeah.
All these clothes, like, I don't want them anymore.
For sure.
Take
but
them.
Most people,
right?
if they realize that it's worth $300, they would rather sell to the thrift store.
Yeah. Well, the thrift stores in Canada and U.S., they don't pay you for your clothes.
Yes.
Yeah. And, like, sometimes...
Vintage store.
Right. So, hit up your friends. Hit up your parents. Hit up your grandparents. They might have some stuff in there that is really neat. Sales. Secondhand websites. I'm sure you can find some... You'll probably find a good amount of the weirder styles on those secondhand sites because I think that some people get into it thinking that they're going to like it a little bit more than they do. And maybe they don't. So you can score that way for sure. And I'm sure you can get a good deal that way. But as you shop, unless you've got unlimited space, which you don't, maybe try to curate it a little bit. Like if you want to just stick to like, I think here's one mistake I definitely did when I was buying a lot of raw denim. Sometimes I bought a lot of basic raws just because I'm like, oh, Selvedge, and there was a lot of basic indigo that ended up in my collection, whereas I was definitely more intrigued by the odder fabrics, heavier weights, weird colors, things like that. Even different hardware was a little bit more exciting to me. But sometimes you might end up, just because you see like a basic, dark indigo raw Selvedge jean on sale, or that you just see it at a good price or whatever, you buy it just because it's Selvedge. Maybe avoid doing that. That's one thing I definitely learned.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, some theme might be fun. Like if you like natural indigo, you can get all the natural indigo dyed jeans from different brands, different times, and maybe compare them. Might be interesting.
Yeah, the toaster pilot writes, only Iazome and watch my bank account cry. Only Iazome denim. That's a hardcore collection.
Yeah.
Shane writes, you have to discover what makes you feel passionate about raw denim.
Yeah, and I think that's the whole point. Like, nobody's going to set out to start a collection without knowing anything that you did about that, the product category.
Yeah.
So I think it's kind of like it's this... you can't, like, nobody else can tell you what you're going to be into. You have to figure that out yourself.
Right. Right. But yeah, the shop online, shop sales, don't overbuy the same thing. That's another thing. Because sometimes you will just end up, like, if you like, vintage blue style jeans, obviously I don't think anyone's entire collection is going to be comprised by that. But if you like I said earlier, like when I was buying a lot of just basic indigos, maybe decide that, hey, I don't need to add another one of those, or add that to the fund. Sometimes when I'm like collecting stuff, I might be out in the wild and I have something in my hands and I'm like, oh, this is neat. And then I often talk myself out of buying something by the end of that shopping experience. I'm like, I have it in my hands, I'm holding it for a while, I'm like, yeah, I don't need this one, I put it back. And sometimes I just record, I'm like, I didn't buy this, that's $45 now I have towards a grander thing. So if I want to buy something even bigger, I'm like, all right, I've banked money that I didn't spend that I could spend on something bigger. And as you curate
the collection, you can get rid of something to add to the fund also. Like you can sell whatever you collected so far that you're realizing that you're not into. I think that's a whole big part of collection.
Yeah. Selling, I think, it's obviously, if you want to thin down your collection, selling or reselling is fine. The only problem is that, unfortunately, unless you have some very rare vintage jeans, there's not a big resale market, like in terms of profiting off of the jeans that you might have bought. So you might end up losing a little bit.
Of course, you're not gonna gain whatever, like gain back whatever you spent. But I mean, it's just also another thing. You know, you make more room, you make a little bit more funds.
Yeah, yeah. But if you can avoid the bad purchases to begin with, obviously you're not gonna avoid them all. But hopefully, some of those tips help you avoid some of them. But another thing to consider are special editions or rarities. Like those are kind of fun to add to the line. Like, you know, if we do a movie or anime or whatever collaboration, those are fun to collect. I know that, you know, when we did Street Fighter and Dragon Ball, like people wanted everything. Like people would buy them all, and like
I think people really liked Akuma because it was so limited. Also, like there was just like that part of it.
Right.
Like the denim is amazing, but even with that, it was just added value.
Yeah. So maybe adding a special piece like even Empire State Selvedge, where it's like you can only get this here. That's pretty special about that jean because, you know, not that I think, you know, we're all, it's not like baseball cards or something like that where like we can, it's hard to boast about your raw denim collection to normies, I guess. You know, you have to really love raw denim, and you know, by having a special pair like an Akuma denim or Empire State or something else kind of rare, it you know, you get a little bit of bragging rights in your collection. It might be a little bit fun to have things like that. Storing is another thing to keep in mind. Now, it depends where you are in the world, more than others, but if you're especially in humid and hot climates, you really got to be careful how you store your jeans, because that humidity could, for raw denim, the humidity, maybe if it's just sitting there, you know, you don't want it to develop mold. That's a big thing. So you want to make sure that things are stored in a cool, dry environment. And, you know, mold isn't necessarily like the destructor of a piece of clothing, because ultimately you can wash that garment. But if it is a very delicate, rare, old piece or a raw piece that you want to remain raw, then washing it does become a bit of an issue. So
and you also don't want to mold.
You don't want mold in your closet. You definitely don't want to do that. So, oh yeah, here's another one. Washing, you know, if you do pick up from the thrift, wash those jeans.
Of course.
Well, you say of course, but I think it needs to be said, because you might end up, you're buying jeans from the thrift. You're buying jeans from, you know, the vintage store. They are probably dusty and maybe a little bit, who knows? Who knows where they've been? That's the real answer. So wash them, because if they end up in that pile and something contaminates something else, you don't want that. So make sure you do your due diligence and make sure that the items that you buy that are old are laundered. Though if you do buy a very, very old pair of raw jeans, what do you do then?
Like a dead stock, never been worn. I mean, like if your thing is completely, it has to be raw and never be washed, then maybe you figure out something else. But I would still wash it.
Yeah.
Just because even if that pair hasn't been washed, like the clothing surrounding it has been washed and has been in people's houses, and you know, people have dogs or cats that walk outside and pick up fleas, or you know, like anything could happen.
Right.
I do not trust the world.
Yeah, I have some dead stock raws that I picked up that have never been washed, and they just yeah, they are in a pile in my office in Montreal of other jeans of my collection.
It's not my problem.
They're not here. They're fine. Those are fine, but you gotta be wary of that. That is actually a tough one. On what do you do with a dead stock raw? And I would say that you don't touch. You leave it.
I guess you could like spray with like
alcohol spray. Yeah.
Just to make sure everything is dead.
Yeah. Like some kind of desanitizing spray might be a good idea.
Desanitize?
No, desanitize. We want to set up desanitizing stations everywhere to improve your immune system. Chris Node, don't want some nasty free baller secondhand denim. True, you don't want it. But if you're buying vintage jeans that you're going to wear, there's certainly a possibility that you are. So you definitely want to wash those jeans very thoroughly. Yeah. Pedro, will the Day of the Dead jeans be called the Undead Stock jeans? No. They will be called the Day of the Dead, or the Día de los Muertos. Did I say that right?
Dia, I think.
Día de los Muertos.
I think.
But we have the Ecru Frankenstein denim coming.
Yeah.
For what season? Spring, summer
24.
And you know what we're calling it? You know what we're calling it. Yeah, you know. But we're calling it the Undyed Frankenstein denim.
Spelled like not dyed, that's dyed in ink.
So it's undyed. Because he's undead. He's been undeaded. He's brought back from the dead. You get it?
D did it.
Yeah.
D did.
D.
Undead.
Yeah, undead. So, some humor for you. Michael Udall writes, I miss my Blanca jeans. I wish they could be reissued. That was a good jean.
You miss it as in you had it?
He had it.
Lost
Probably.
It?
I'm presuming you wore them out.
Yeah.
Michael Udall writes, a denim collection is a trial and error situation. There are so many different styles to find out different specifics about a jean you want.
Yeah.
Like if it has slub or nep. Right. Yeah. It's definitely a trial by fire. But if I could provide any guidance.
The hard thing is that if you're collecting to wear, like unlike any other type of collection, like the size also matters. And if you gain weight or lose weight drastically, then you're not going to be able to wear them. And that's also the unfortunate part of the collection of jeans.
Right. I mean, yes, I own many jeans that don't fit. I just bought them because I liked them. I wanted them. And
100%.
Yeah.
I have old clothes that I don't fit in it anymore, but I can't let go because I feel like, this would be a good like motivation for me to lose weight. And it's like, that's not going to happen.
Right. Well, there's that. But I also, maybe I will buy a jean because I don't have a jean like that in the collection, and I want to be able to have it. I want to be able to reference it if I ever need to reference a particular detail or stuff. I mean, obviously this is my job, but even if it wasn't my job, it would be a hobby of mine that I would enjoy. And I still do enjoy it because I still buy lots of jeans despite having access to all kinds of jeans. So I think it's important that if you're going to start a jean collection, that don't buy too much of the same. Try to have a little bit of a wider variety. That way you can have a little bit of a tasting sample of everything. And then if you really want to get deep into one specific thing, maybe you only want to collect vintage dead stock, from whatever brand. Then you could focus on that. But even within that, like once you have one or two of like the same model or style, don't keep buying more. Like unless you're planning on reselling them or something like that. But I feel like with collectors we tend to just hold on to stuff. But try to have a varied collection a little bit. Even if you're buying within a certain brand or style, even within that, try to have it a little bit varied. Because once you start stacking up the same, I feel like it's just the same. Like, there's nothing that you're going to gain from having 4 pairs of the exact same vintage model.
Well, exact same, yeah.
Yeah. So, or even similar. Like,
Well, it just depends on the purpose. Slight variation might be interesting because you can compare them. It's like, this is the small difference, but, it looks different or it feels different because of this or whatever. It's kind of like, if you have 13 ounce and 14, you're like a weight nerd. And it's like, I want to have, every single weight possible.
Yeah, that's a cool collection to have.
Yeah.
That's a really cool collection to have.
Yeah, but then 13 ounce and the 14 ounce indigo jean.
Yeah, there's so many. Yeah, right. But that would be a really cool stack where you take like, you know, every weight from, you know, whatever 5 ounce, go all the way up to like 32 or 40 ounces and just show all the differences all in one stack. That's a cool collection.
It's going to get harder and harder to find it, though. Like after 24 or whatever. Like,
yeah, sure. After 24, sure. But also in between, because like it would be kind of neat where like you're starting to hunt down odd weights of jeans. Like you might find a 15 ounce, but like there might be like a 15 and a quarter, 15 and a half, 15.75. Like there are these, they're all like, it all exists. Like the left hand tool is like 13.75 ounce. Like it's a weird number.
But the thing is, like, we call that 13.75 ounce.
Yeah.
But sometimes we call exactly the same weight jeans as 14 ounce.
Maybe.
Or 13.5.
Yeah. Or like.
And other brands do that too.
Yeah.
So
there's a little bit of that
you might have to get
as well.
Into
fabrics weighing.
You gotta cut out a piece.
So that's a cool. That could be fun. That could be a fun way to collect. Okay. I see Carl Morawski's in the house. Undyed Frankenstein. Count me in. You're in, my friend. Hop in. We're going for a ride. Semantic Noise writes, what's the lightest?
5 ounces, the lightest I've seen, I think.
5 ounces, 5 or 5.5 ounces. Yeah. I mean, it also depends because, like, I'm.
Yeah,
like denim shirting weight, like, probably maybe slightly even lighter than that, but it might not make a great pair of jeans. Mm-hmm. So that's also something to consider. The Raven writes at Cathedral Ring, I'm wearing my gray tee and white. I'm wearing my gray tee while watching this stream. Bought a white Wonder Looper tee. White Wonder Looper tee, gray Wonder Looper tee. Wonder Looper tees are now restocked on Tate and Yoko, and on wonderlooper.com. But if Tate and Yoko has quite a selection right now.
Yeah, but also different retail partners around the world. So check with your local.
Wonder Looper retailer. Cathedral Ring, who got some Wonder Looper tees this week, snagged a gray and navy.
Nice.
Fantastic. Good to see some Wonder Looper fans in the audience here. Michael Udall, I'm holding out for an orange core. Mm-hmm.
That will happen at some point.
Yes.
Orange is a good color. Go with blue.
Disintegrating jeans weighing in at 3 ounces. Pedro writes, yeah, you're gonna tear through those as a jean.
As soon as you like sit,
it's
gonna be a big old rip.
I wonder. Yeah.
Unless you wear it super, super loose, which could happen. Mm-hmm. Like I've had like, you know, pants. Like we've even made like wide pants that are like, you know, short weight.
Yeah, it depends.
Yeah, you can't wear it like jeans.
Yeah,
I feel.
Yeah, if there's a wide flowy like trouser style, then yeah. Though we did make the ultra light tech denim.
Yeah,
and that was like 5.5, but it had Dyneema in it. Was it Dyneema or nylon? Nylon.
Yeah. Similar.
Yeah, so they were very high tensile strength fabric, so those weren't going to rip. I mean, if you really want to destroy them, you can. But they for the weight strength to weight ratio on those was incredible. So we were able to make a very, very, very lightweight jean. But also very durable.
Yeah, with all of that considered, though, I think the 5 for bottoms, like for jeans, like relatively fitted bottoms, I think 5 is probably the lowest you can go.
Yeah, although.
And you can't just use any 5 ounce fabric either.
You would really want to stay at 8 ounces or above if you're going to go for bottoms weight. I wouldn't unless it had like a performance material in it, I wouldn't make 100% cotton jeans lower than 8 ounces. Yeah. What would be the best weight for fastest fades? 12, 14, or 16? It all depends.
Fastest fade?
I think.
Oh.
That's a tough one. I think that heavier weight denim tends to fade a little bit faster, and the reason for that is
obvious.
But also because the yarns are thicker, the indigo tends to only hang around the outer edges of the yarn. Of course, it all depends on how the yarn. It all boils down to how the yarn is dyed. But on heavier yarns, because the indigo is on only the most outer layer of the yarn, there's more white core on the yarn, so it fades faster.
Yeah, that's why it's a little bit more obvious. Not that you're shedding more indigo because it's heavier. I think it's a little bit more obvious.
Yeah.
But also you have to consider, like, in order for you to fade, you gotta wear them. So if it's like, if 16 is a little too uncomfortable and you're wearing less, or you're coming home from outside and taking it off because you're at home and not comfortable, then you're gonna fade less. If you can keep 12 ounce all day, even at home, then maybe that's a better fading, faster fading. So it all kind of depends on. And also, even with the same weight, like, there's always a variation. Like, certain things, like, we don't, like, we talk about, like, how certain fabrics are, like, fast fading sometimes, but we don't always, like, it's not quantifiable. Sometimes, like, with our experience, this fabric fades really fast, or this fabric fades really slow. We've had that, but again, we can't really, like, that's all.
Yeah, boiling it down to just a weight, it's more than just the weight. Like, if you have a very slubby denim, because the texture is raised and more 3D, it gets a little bit more action on the fabric, so it looks like it fades faster, it does fade faster in that respect. So that's something to consider as well. And then it also depends on, like, what you consider fading, because, like, is the goal to make them have as little indigo as possible by the end? Because in that respect, like, if you have a lighter shade of indigo versus a darker shade of indigo, the lighter shade of indigo, the more you wear it, the less indigo there is on them compared to the same maybe amount of wear time as a darker denim. So the darker denim might have a little bit more contrast, but the lighter denim will not have as much contrast because you're starting from a lighter shade, but ultimately you have less indigo in the jean, and it'll get to that lightest blue faster than the darker one will. So there's that obviously, to consider as well.
Yes, obviously. But yeah, I mean, it's just that, like, these things are, like, it all in conjunction. It's kind of like, when we talked about how like, left hand twirl is gonna be softer and more smooth, and that, like, drapier than right hand twirl denim, and that's just like a generalization. But unless you make the exact same jeans, exact same construction, exact same yarns, you can't really compare. And this is why, like, we're kind of getting into, like, we'll do, like, a different version of left hand twirl, like broken twirl version, to see, how exact. And then, we get into, like, but each individual is different, so we got, like, identical twins to, like, maybe try. It gets, like, it's way complicated.
You really get into the weeds. But, like, what details would make a fast fading denim?
What details?
Yeah. How do you construct a denim that will fade fast?
The most obvious one? I don't know if it's obvious, but to make a thick yarn, to use a thick yarn that goes through rope dyeing faster. So the rope dyeing, like, obviously you just dip into indigo yarn, and then you let it oxidize. You do multiple dips to get the color you want. But you talked a little bit about the shade of the indigo, where it's like, obviously less dips, less indigo to start with. So, you can call it fading fast. But another part of it is that you can have multiple layers in dark indigo, but it doesn't go through to closer to the core of the yarn, then you can reveal the fades faster. Like a little bit of layer taken out of that indigo layer, then you see a lot brighter.
Right.
And I think that's what's happening with the unbranded 21 ounce. It's notoriously fast fading denim, and it's a combination between the thickness of the yarn and also just the indigo not really like
getting to the core of the yarn. Yeah. So thicker yarn, faster dips that don't penetrate to the core of the yarn. It could be quite dark, which is fine because the darker the tone, the higher the contrast, the higher the perceived contrast. And I think a slubby yarn also, because that'll also visually look like it fades faster because you'll have these much higher contrast points in the lower contrast. Like you'll have more high and low contrast, which makes it look like it fades faster. So like an Okayama Spirit or a Japan Heritage, like though, or even like a slub stretch Selvedge.
Or King of Slub.
King of Slub. Yeah, those are going to fade fast because they look like they fade fast.
You can see the fades more.
You can see the fades more. And they're very like not uniform.
But also the type of indigo, like indigo dye, there are different dyes depending on where it comes from, like which mills. Like certain mills just use a certain kind of indigo as opposed to the other kinds of mills or whatever. So certain mills definitely have indigo that doesn't stick like as well, I guess. Like less color fast.
Yeah, less color fastness.
Yeah.
Which is what you want for a good fading jean.
Yeah.
Funny thing about color fastness was I remember one time we were sending a shipment of jeans to China. I forget what the retailer's name was, but customs seized the package and they're like, these jeans aren't color fast. And they did some kind of like color fastness test, which I'm like, I've never heard of before in my life. Like, why do you care? Why does the government of China care if the jeans that are being sold are color fast or not?
But
I'm like,
also,
do you know what horrible, terrible, awful jeans are made in your country? Just with the worst splotches and rips and tears. Like, you're the number one producer of the worst jeans ever made in history. And your concern was the color fastness of some raw jeans.
But also, it's one thing if you're like Levi's and sending a gigantic shipload of jeans and they want to like test out the quality of it. I don't agree with it, but I get it. But it's always like Naked and Famous.
Yeah.
It's not. It's like a few boxes of jeans. It's like you're testing every single one of the imports that you do. That's insane.
And we had to explain to them that they're designed to fade. And I'm sure that the person was like, "What on earth are they talking about?" And then probably just didn't want to deal with it and let the package go anyways. But yeah, that was one of the weirdest shipping experiences we ever had.
Now he just wants to make sure we're paying attention to him.
Yeah. Pay attention to them, Snowy. Pay attention to them. Okay. There was a question. Shane Arnold writes, I have a model that fits well that I was able to try on in New York City. Should I use measurements of that jean and buy based off of that? I live nowhere near a Naked Famous store and know certain styles yield different fits. The answer to that question is no. And I'll explain why. Why you should never use the size charts of a product online to determine your next purchase. So say you own a pair of left-hand twill Weird Guy size 32. Don't go off the measurement charts on the website to compare against the measurements of another jean. What you should always do is measure the jeans that you own, that you can try on, that you can understand how those fit, and then use those measurements to compare. And the reason why you don't use the ones on our website is, number one, it's an amalgamation of several pairs. So we take like a bunch of size 32s, measure them all out, and then get an average. So the pair you tried on in the store that day might not be exactly those measurements. And then number 2 is oftentimes people will refer to that size chart on that left-hand twill word guide 32 that they own, that they've worn for 8 months, and they say, well, these are the measurements. They're not the measurements anymore. That jean that you are wearing have changed in a way because you've worn them. They've stretched, they've shrunk, they fit a little bit differently. So you should always use the measurements of the jeans that you have in front of you, because that's going to give you the most accurate way to compare. If you're going to compare measurements of a brand new jean of one particular model that you might have tried on, maybe I still say compare what you got, because what you got is what you can compare right now. You have them on. And so, that you might misremember how that jean fit in the store, or maybe you misremember how that jean fit when you first got them. But the jean that you have right now that you can put on, you can try, there's no misremembering that. You can reference that right now. So always compare charts against something that you have, and not against something new that you don't have. All right. Okay. Caleb Tate, or Tate, writes, I heard you shout out old Pueblo denim in a previous live stream because they had the Kikko in stock at the time. It's near me in Tucson, and I plan on trying y'all's fits. Can't wait to check it out. Well, fantastic. I hope you have a good time in the shop there. I gave them on IG today another shout because I saw that they had one size medium left in the Kikko denim jacket.
Ooh,
They had one. It might not be there anymore, but this morning I shouted them out. So hopefully someone was able to grab that if they're looking for it. Tover Cobra writes, maybe China was worried about counterfeit product. Yeah. I mean,
but
why the color fastness test? I just don't understand. I don't understand why they care.
It's funny because jeans is such a universal item that everybody has in their closet. They're just so common. But the fundamental facts about jeans that are like, why is it so popular? It's because it fades.
Yeah.
Because it makes it look cool once it fades.
Once it's worn
and age. But like that part of the knowledge is really not a common knowledge.
Right.
It's not a common sense, which is really interesting.
A lot of people don't know that the reason why your blue jeans are like lightly, they have that washed, worn look is because they're trying to imitate vintage jeans that were washed, that were worn from raw to look like that.
Yeah.
And of course, nowadays there are like fashion washes, which sometimes look awful and ridiculous. The one that I absolutely hate right now is these women's jeans that have these little side slits on the side. Just on the side of their pants. Right up on their upper thigh.
The butt.
Underneath the butt cheek, but just from the front to the back, but not under the butt.
No.
Like, I could understand. It's silly, but I could understand if you were to buy some new washed pre-distressed jeans and there's some rips underneath the butt. You want to show your butt. Fine. I get it. People want to show their butts. But on the side?
I'm telling you, I forgot which brand, but it was one of like the high-end popular brand that did that, and everybody else imitated it. And it's like
I see it on the streets here all the time now, and every time I see it, I point it out. I'm like, you look dumb. Mm-hmm. You look dumb.
Mm-hmm. And it's kind of weird to see it here because here you don't have a lot of like skin showing, especially that high up in that part of the thigh. So it kind of makes it look weird.
Yeah,
like it's just random.
So
in America, it's a little bit more like fine, like you know. It still looks weird, but it's like there's added layer of weirdness when you see it here.
Right. Yeah, there's certain styles here. Like if you ever see a woman here in leggings, it looks out of place because nobody.
I do see a little more though.
See a little bit more, but it's like because none of the ladies would wear leggings as like pants. Like if they're going to and from the gym.
But even when I used to go to the gym, like literally a block from our home.
Yeah.
And, I'm just going there to exercise. So I don't, I usually just, I come home and shower and stuff like that because it's so close. Like, I don't change in their locker room. But, sometimes, I want to work out in leggings, but I just, I feel weird walking out in leggings. So, I would wear something else and then just change in the locker room.
Yeah, it's odd. Yeah, there's certain styles. So, if you see leggings, or if I see, maybe skin where you don't normally see skin here, it's odd. And then you compound that with the stupidness of this placement of the rip. I'm like, knees. I got it. You have a knee rip. Or
even
underneath the pocket
thigh,
bag.
Jaggedy thigh things. I get it. How it got to be.
Right. Yeah. So I understand and that's why you can look at a brand that knows how to do washes correctly because they look natural and authentic, and then you get the ones where it's let's just shred the entire front of these jeans, and it's but that would it looks so weird to me because that is so unnatural. That would never happen, and that somebody was well, let's just make ripped pants. And they did. And now there's some fashion house out there with I gotta find it. I gotta share the pain with you guys. What is the brand of these jeans? Ladies jeans with rips.
I don't remember what it is, but I remember seeing it years ago first, and then I was like, oh, this is awful.
Yeah.
And then learning that and then, the next year, I saw it on everybody.
Yeah, I can't find it. You type in ladies ripped jeans in Google, all you get are... Some are better than others. Okay, we're gonna
find the picture.
Yeah, you're gonna find it, but let's just go here anyways. So, as you can see, some look that looks a lot more natural and normal as a faded, pre-distressed ripped jean than this abomination, right? That's just awful. Even this, to some degree, I can understand because this looks okay, they were worn to shreds and then you just cut out all of the, you cut out all the stuff. But it's a little too much. This is too much. This is too much. It doesn't look normal. I mean, this... to me, doesn't really look normal either, but it's better than this. This
I think
is
it's Margiela.
Really bad.
I think it's Margiela.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Wait, hold on a second. Let's Google it. Oh, yes. This is it.
Yeah.
There we go. Those are the ones.
That they started a horrible trend.
This is... I guess let's just click on those.
I think this is how it started, and then other brands are doing it higher up in the thigh.
Yeah, they're much higher up on the thigh. This is dumb.
This is dumb.
But I've seen so many where they're just right here.
Yeah.
And it's
just, equally dumb, but it's a little bit more revealing, I guess.
It's just stupid. It looks awful, and I think that they're just trying to troll their... Like a lot of things in this designer world, I think sometimes they're just trying to troll their customers and seeing what kind of stupid things that they're willing to wear. And, yeah, somebody's big brain idea was, what if we just cut 2 slits in the jeans here? I'm like, yeah, that's a denim designer's idea. Yeah, soft brain denim design idea right there, guys. Pedro, Bahzad's next video, jeans do's and don'ts that everyone can agree on. Can we all agree that that is dumb?
Yes.
We can all agree. This is 100%. We're all in...
And it's not even okay, it's one thing to do something weird and dumb and not based off of any authentic things to make your legs look longer or like make you look
sexy or something,
yeah,
right?
Or whatever.
Like, you want to be.
This has nothing to do with that.
Yeah. Like, I get it. You have like weird rips because you want to be revealing in a way.
Yeah.
Okay, I understand.
Yeah.
It's not my taste, but I understand.
Yeah.
But this is just like, let's just add some speed holes here. You know. Mm-hmm. You have to remember. The Simpsons reference, some speed holes. Maybe it's to make things go. Oh, you're gonna be cooler. Nonsense.
And wear shorts. Then keep going.
Yeah.
It's like you know what I thought the first time I saw it. I thought this person decided to make shorts and.
Yeah, and gave up halfway. They're like,
No, I can't do this.
I can't do it.
I need the lower parts.
And I still really need these jeans. I made a mistake.
And I'm living with it.
Yeah, we're going with it. But yeah, terrible. Just awful. If that's a trend, which it apparently is, it's the worst one right now. It's the worst one going. Not the worst one ever, but the worst one going today.
Agreed.
Yeah, shame on you who came up with that dumb idea. Or you know what? I'm not gonna say that. I'm not gonna say shame on you. I'm gonna say thank you for providing me with a little bit of content here,
and entertainment.
And entertainment. And yeah, I've been laughing at people. I'm judging you. You're wearing those.
So mean.
I am judging you. You're dumb. That's too harsh.
I mean,
you're not dumb. If you're young, I get it.
Yeah.
You're following a trend.
I see it on a lot of 14-year-olds, 15-year-olds. Okay, I get it.
Yeah. If you're 24 and more, 22, you're still dumb. Once you're over 24, you should be able to figure out things on your own.
Mm-hmm. 25 is the age that everybody, I think, today agrees that you have to take your...
There's really no excuses after 24, 25. Yeah. 18 to 24, you're not at your best brain, but you're not 12 anymore, right? You're an adult.
You can be independent, make independent decisions, and some of you are smart enough to make correct decisions at that age, but a good majority of you are not there yet. Yeah.
I see DC is in the house, and he writes, I still have the old Naked and Famous denim beer coolers and baseball gloves. Bring both of those back. Maybe. But DC, you deal with a lot of trendy jeans. You deal with them. You deal with them all the time. So Daniel. Is this trend the worst one? Is that the worst one going today? Is this the dumbest one in a while? You tell me. Because I personally believe that what we were looking at before, even this...
These are uglier.
Are ugly jeans. But
these are uglier, but...
I understand them.
Like, it's an extreme version of something that we all are familiar with.
Right? Because it's just an extreme version of this. You wore out your jean, and they're just like, oh, well, let's show a little skin, and let's just keep going. Got it. This is awful. It's terrible, but I understand it. Right. I understand what we're doing with this style. Somebody wants to show some leg cleavage. But the side slits, don't get it.
Just this. Everything else, no more.
Yeah.
Just this.
Just that, yeah. Peanuts writes, maybe they improve airflow.
No, I certainly think that they do. Sure.
Yeah. But I don't think that's the selling feature.
But should we give up on the, looking good just to get some airflow?
Yeah.
And usually those are done on really wider leg, looser fitting jeans. So,
yeah. Well, Cathedral Ring writes, Gen Z fashion, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, it is completely. Is it Gen Z? Might be younger than that. What's the current,
I think it's Gen Z is the current. Yeah, Gen Z is the current generation we're blaming things on.
No, but Gen Z is how young?
Millennials? I don't know. But millennials are old enough to now blame another generation.
Millennials are old.
Yeah, I guess.
But wait, what's after millennials?
See, I always thought millennials were I mean, I don't want to get into this one too far. But I don't know when Gen Z starts, but that's the current young generation, whatever that is. Maybe if you were born in the year 2000 and now you're like, 23. If you're in the 2000s you were born.
Isn't there a newer generation by now?
No, I think that's
like
it.
The current teenagers or high school students, what are they? Gen Z still?
I suppose. I don't know. Current gen is Gen Alpha. No, Gen Alpha was Adam and Eve. That was Gen Alpha. They were the first gen. Right?
Is it?
Yeah. I don't know. I'm Gen Z and 23, so I think that's the current one. I see. Well, don't claim this fashion then, Raven. This is not you.
But what
You're better than this.
When did we start Gen Z, Gen X?
Gen X?
Before Gen X, was there Gen Y? No, Y came after X. What's before X?
I don't know. There's like the greatest generation, which obviously they have the best name.
Which generation is that?
Like the people who went through World War II.
Oh, like our maybe grandparents'
Yeah,
generation.
yeah.
They were pretty good.
Yeah, and then after that, there were the boomers,
right?
And then nobody knows.
Boomers went on for a little while, right?
I don't know.
Boomers, yeah.
They were the children of the greatest generation.
Yeah.
Who created created the boomers. And then, I don't know, and then X, and then, I don't know, millennials, and then now we have Gen Z.
So we skipped Y.
I think we skipped a lot. Gen Alpha is 2010 to 2024.
2010, if you're born in 2010, you're still like 12, 13. So,
yeah. Yeah, you don't have any say in anything
yet.
Yeah,
you don't have any.
You're a tween. I'm definitely rocking my gen trends. I'm more of an old... I'm definitely not rocking my gen trends. I'm definitely more of an old school fan. That's right. Good job. I like that. The Raven. Pre-boomers is the silent generation, if I remember correctly. Because of all the silent movies.
What? Really? No.
Yeah.
Really?
No, I'm just joking. But it makes sense. Because they didn't have technology back then. They had sound movies by then.
Yes, after great generation probably pushed.
I think Gen Y is basically millennial BD. See, we don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. It makes sense. Like you, instead of naming the generation Y, we have like a nickname for Generation Y.
And then there were all those Pepsi commercials that called us Generation Next. Remember those commercials?
I've heard of that.
Yeah.
Yes.
BD, age 25 to 40, Gen Y. I'm age 25 to 40. But that's also too wide. Anyways.
Yeah, that's a millennial.
Yeah.
So.
Boomers are just a nickname for Gen X and millennials. Gen X are not boomers.
Gen X are not boomers.
Yeah.
No. Boomers are like my parents' generation, so they're in their 60s.
Yeah.
And Gen X are like, they're in their 40s, 50s.
Yeah, they might have been teens or like young adults in the 90s. Like they were the... I feel a little Gen X-y personally. Just a little...
Because you're the first batch of millennial.
Yeah, something like that.
Technically, you might be millennial, but you're still not like in that age.
I have that 90s angst built in me. The indifference to things. Just like, I don't care.
Is that what Gen X is all
about?
about?
We're all about being not giving a crap about anything, really.
Interesting.
Just like, whatever. Loafers, just being...
Loafers?
Yes, and people, like, think... I'm just trying to... Think of Clerks. The movie Clerks. That's a very Gen X kind of attitude towards life, I feel. Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay. Jeng. No. Jeng Gnome Project. New to the stream. Good to see you still at Naked Famous Bahzad. I think you sold me on my Naked and Famous Denim Momotaro 2s. All right.
Nice.
Well, I'm glad I was able to help you with a pair of jeans, and that you remember, and that you're part of this stream. Welcome. And yeah, I've not gone anywhere. I'm always here. Spencer's mustache, about Gen X. Free shrugs. Yeah. That's us. Gen X is a small cohort, Smoke writes. Cheddar's Buttersworth. If you're Gen X, you'd be old enough to appreciate grunge when it was big. Us millennials would have been too young when Nirvana was at their peak. Oh yeah, no, I was definitely there. I might have been young. Like, maybe, trying to think. Yeah, like 5th grade or 6th grade, something like that. Just old enough to be like a tween.
Tween.
Yeah.
Tween is such a funny
Yeah,
word.
we didn't have that word.
But it's also funny because I feel like today's generation, the younger, Gen Z or whatever, like they have more of the similar vibes between Gen Zs, whereas like I feel like I am perfectly, I'm a fit in millennial like age group, but I feel a little different because millennials in the United States are different from millennials here. Like it's just different culture, different like vibe.
Yeah.
So it's like like when Nirvana was big, like I was old enough, but I wasn't into it because I didn't have, you know what I
Right.
mean? Like just
Well,
wasn't
it's all a
grunge.
different culture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like now everybody listens to K-pop, like whether you're in this part of the world
Right.
or whatever.
That's true.
Yeah.
Xennial for the win. Cusp generation for Gen X and Millennial. Right. Xennial. Okay.
Enough of this generation talk.
Yeah. DC could talk about trends for days. Well, that's what we're here for, DC. We're here to talk about trends. Let's talk about the worst ones because they're the best ones to talk about.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, let's dunk on bad denim trends. DC, give us your hot take. You've been in this industry for a long time.
Your whole life.
Your whole life. As a Gen Xer, what are some of the worst trends that you've seen in your days around denim? You've been around denim for longer than anybody here. So tell us. We want to know your hot take. Annie Quinn, hey Bahzad, is there going to be a true guy in the solid black Selvedge? The answer to that question is a resounding yes. Now are they out yet?
No, I don't think we got them yet.
We didn't get them yet? I think they're on their way though.
Yeah. We might have gotten them, but we might not have gotten them
on the website yet.
Yeah.
Okay, they'll be here soon. The answer is that they are
very soon.
They're in the pipeline. So within the next couple of weeks, they'll be on the website. So yeah. Okay. Somebody asked, Nick Spark, hey, y'all, have y'all talked about any Naked and Famous Denim products on the stream? We just did, and we talked about the Kikko Denim. So the answer is yes. Okay, DC with a trend. Some trends are meant to attract attention, good or bad. That thermochromic trend was a little weird, don't you think? Thermochromic trend of the late 80s, early 90s. I wonder actually if it was more early 90s than it was late 80s. Was it weird? I remember, like, as a child, everybody loved those t-shirts. I don't know how many adults wore them. I just remember as a kid being like very intrigued by a thermochromic t-shirt. And then they all went away. It came in. Everyone had one. Everyone loved them. I mean, they were a fun novelty. and then they disappeared until American Apparel brought them back. And I got one because at that point it was like, wow, this is nostalgic. I need to have this thermochromic t-shirt. And I think that was also at the height of, I wouldn't say it was the height of American Apparel, but it was right before the big colossal wave of American Apparel and, you know, the birth of the hipster, where all of a sudden our generation was starting to feel nostalgic for things that we grew up with, but we weren't old. Like, it was the first generation that I think nostalgia was hitting us when we were like, we were nostalgic for things that were 10 years old. Or you know, which when you're 20 is like, oh, that was half my life ago. But I feel like our older generations, you know, they had to hit their 40s or something to be like, oh, remember those toys I used to play with when I was a kid? And then, you know, they collect some robots or things like that. But, yeah. DC writes, I was kidding. I love them. I think everybody loved them. They got pushed out. For chip and pepper surf tie-dye. Ed Hardy art was my least favorite trend ever. Chip and pepper. I was watching some chip and pepper videos this week. Chip and pepper was a very big brand in the early 90s, maybe late 80s. Two Canadian guys, I think they were, I'm like 99% sure that they were from Winnipeg, but they were like surfer dudes. And like long blonde hair, like that surfer like voice. And anyway, they probably moved out to surfer voice. That you know.
Yeah, I get it.
They lived out, from my perception, they must have lived in California or something. And they developed a line of clothing. They had all these kind of tie-dye shirts, and they had some jeans, and then their logo was like these two surfing bulldogs. They eventually even got a cartoon show on Saturday morning TV. And that was a wave of like chip and pepper was everywhere, and then it went away. And then when I was working at Holt Renfrew, so when I was in my mid-20s, there was this, they kind of came back. And so we carried a little bit of it, and it was like very distressed jeans, like, you know, kind of beach bum looking jeans. And I thought the line was cool. And I remember one time when I was working at Diesel in the shop, they came in, and I ended up talking to them for a few minutes, and I knew who they were. I'm like, oh, I know who you guys are. And anyways, we ended up talking to them for a few minutes. I don't know what is going on with that line anymore, but I don't know how many people remember Chip and Pepper. BD writes, Chip and Pepper. I remember they hosted some Saturday morning cartoons too, right? Right. That was a fun trend. That was a fun trend, that's for sure.
That's fun. Yeah.
Smoke, Jinko jeans were the worst from a Gen Xer. So the thing about Jinko jeans was that a lot of people confuse the wide leg raver pant for all being Jinkos. They weren't all. There were a lot of brands that did it.
It's like Timex,
yeah.
I guess.
So I definitely took part of that, and I would say that given the time, you know, when that rave trend flew in, they were appropriate. But I don't think that is. Like, even when I see a lot of this Y2K fashion and things like that going on right now, that's something that it's really not taking on. Like, I see some people with wide pants, but like the full-on raver gear, like super wides with like giant clunky like sneakers, like they look like space sneakers with the tight top, with like, you know, the colorful bracelets and the visor. I don't see it. It's not happening.
Well,
they're picking up on aesthetics of it. But yeah.
I mean, that's the whole thing about like repeating trends. You're only taking a little bit of it and just as an inspiration.
Yeah.
But yeah, Ed Hardy trend was very difficult to live through. It was very long, prolonged.
Yeah. It was less so about the graphics than I guess it was the audience, maybe not the perceived audience, but the definite audience. It was the Jersey Shore bro club culture that kind of just took the wave, and then you just kind of associated that t-shirt with those kinds of, people.
But then it was a big enough trend that it wasn't just those people. It was like on regular nice people.
Right. The artwork was always great. Like the tattoo art was great on its own.
Yes.
Yeah. But that was a very big trend for a long time. Very big that I don't think people remember fondly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it was kind of pushed down our throats and it wasn't great. Yeah.
Right. DC, we should have our own live stream on this topic, including the full C&P story. I got it. We should do it. That'd be fun.
That'll be interesting.
That'd be fun because I'm sure you were there for the full ride. For those who don't know, DC is Daniel Carmen. He's the proprietor of Over the Rainbow Jeans in Toronto, and they've been around for 40. It's probably a little more than 40 years at this point. But they are certainly one of the premier destinations for jeans in Toronto, if not all of Canada. And yeah, they've been doing it. They've been doing it longer than anybody. Mm-hmm. So Daniel here, he's seen it all come and go. Here's a good one. DC writes, Energy ultra low-rise women jeans were also suspect. Parasukel was the local. Energy, I don't know if anybody remembers that brand, but there was a brand, so there was the Italian wave of like Diesel and Miss 60, and then there was the men's brand 60. And then I think from the same people, I don't know if Energy came out. There was the Miss 60 people.
I thought Miss 60, was it?
I think Miss 60, and Energy was the same company. I could be very wrong about that one. But it all kind of was like Diesel, and Diesel's competitor was Energy, I feel like, in a way.
Right.
Yeah.
I always thought Diesel and Miss 60 had something to do with
No, it was just a very similar aesthetic.
But
for that time.
To me, it doesn't make any sense to have Energy and Miss 60 in the same, like, it's kind of like competing with each other, no? Like, Diesel would
But
be
Miss
different.
60 was women's.
Right.
Yeah, Energy was, anyhow, I don't remember all of it. Oh, DC writes, Miss 60 and Energy were linked. Oh. Okay, so maybe it was just like the women's and the men's side. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, the Italian brands with the ultra low rise women's jeans, it was crazy. Like, you couldn't, Whale Tail was just the natural, that was just the natural way of things when those brands came out. That was normal. There was no other way to wear these jeans than with a whale tail happening. Yeah. You don't.
But to be fair, I'm just gonna say it because women grew out of whale tail. We don't see that so much anymore. Everybody has a proper rise.
Yeah.
But men, on the other hand, somehow they continue to wear jeans that would, when they bend over,
we got some butt crack.
Butt crack action. Yeah. It's like, can we just not do that anymore?
That might happen with me. I wear my jeans kind of low and loose.
Yes.
So sometimes you get a little bit of a show. Ravers wear floss and stickers now. Spencer's mustache writes, I don't know what that means. I know what stickers are, but maybe they mean something else. Luis Mendoza writes, I still have 2 Ed Hardy button downs I bought in high school for $400 a piece, hoping that one day I'll be able to recap my money.
$400 in high school.
Yeah, that's a lot of money. I remember at the height of that, we had, the Christianati J and Ed Hardy and like similar brands, and we were selling t-shirts for like, 400, 500 t-shirts. We had crystal t-shirts for like $1,200 that we're selling. selling.
Crystals.
Yeah, crystal T-shirts.
That was a thing where
yeah.
Swarovski and all that stuff.
Dude, we had these ladies, Rockin' Republic Victoria Beckham jeans with crystals all over the back pockets. $400, $450. Like, we'd sell them like they would come in, they'd be gone by the end of the day. Every single pair gone. It was crazy that time. I'd be curious to hear about your Tempi treatment versus regular rinse wash. Nick Spark writes, okay.
Let's maybe get back into the
Lisa,
talk.
you want to tackle that one?
Okay, so Tempi treatment is just, Tempi literally means sunlight, so natural sunlight. So Tempi is just a one wash, rinse wash. You go through a rinse wash in the machine, and then go outside and hang your jeans and let it dry. As opposed to most rinse wash process goes through a wash and then go through a dryer process. So like the biggest like difference is that, you know, if you've like had T-shirts, you know, in the dryer versus you hang it outside, like it's the texture that comes out of it is very different. When you go through you know, tumble dry, like it makes it softer. So like a lot of the times, like in our things too, sometimes we rinse wash our jeans, and when it goes through a rinse wash, that rinse washed fabric is notably softer and drapier than the raw version of it. Whereas when you Tempi wash, a lot of the times that the yarns do plump up and, like, you know, get the like a, you know, kind of more.
Yeah, they get more plump from the water.
Yeah, so it has added texture, but it kind of leaves the fabric a little crispy by being dried in the sunlight and not like being tumbled. Yeah.
So that tumble dry, you know, when you have probably like 50 or 80 pairs of jeans in this giant dryer just smashing against each other, that abrasion really softens up that fabric a lot. And you know, so sometimes what they'll do in that is they might throw tennis balls or golf balls in there as well. Tennis ball wash, golf ball wash. And that also helps soften up the fabric a lot as well. It's kind of like when you, at home, there are those little dryer balls that you can put in the wash. And that helps to kind of just soften up your fabric. So the commercial dryer makes the fabric maybe drapier, nicer to wear, more comfortable right off the bat. You definitely lose all that crispiness out of it.
So that's why for Made in Japan, it is like we use the Tempi treatment because, you know, we often use unsanforized fabrics. We want to rinse wash so that the shrinkage is not an issue, but we definitely don't always want to take out that like crispiness because, you know, again,
we want you to have that raw experience.
Yeah. So that's kind of the reasoning behind why. But Tempi treatment is a lot more time consuming, cost inefficient process. So obviously you can't just like hang it outside anytime. If it's raining, you can't do that. So there is a lot more handwork because somebody has to hang it. There's no robot doing that. And then you have to kind of think about the weather. We do have rainy season here too, so those are some challenges.
Yeah. Okay. Here's a fun one. Annie Quinn writes, I regret wearing some of Pharrell's jeans in the 2000s, either Ice Cream or BBC. Yep, they had like a cat printed on the crotch area, LOL. I remember those. It was like a little wolf dog kind of thing, because Bape used to do stuff like that as well. So BBC, Billionaire Boys Club, BBC and Bape used to, the original BBC line was made in Japan, and I think it was under Bape. And then at some point it got sold to Rockaware, and then I don't know at that point how much involvement Pharrell actually had with it, whether he was a spokesperson or had some ownership, you know, whatever. And I know it went over to Rockaware because at one point, so Pharrell had a line, well, there was Billionaire Boys Club. And then there's a designer, American designer named Mark McNary, who actually his line is back. He's making new collections again. But in the early 2000s, he used to do a lot. And then he was all over the place, very workwear-y, kind of inspired items. Snowy's having a good time over there. And Billionaire Boys Club partnered with Mark McNary to make a more heritage kind of line called Beeline. So it was Billionaire Boys Club Beeline with a honeybee kind of being the theme of that. And so we once did a collaboration with Billionaire Boys Club Beeline times Naked and Famous Denim. This is actually quite a rare jean. Amazon JP. Anyways, this is all I could find when I Googled it. Wait a minute. There it is. What can we do here? Let's view the page. Beeline by Mark McNary, Billionaire Boys Club. So triple collaboration item here. Is there any more photos of it? We basically, I remember exactly, we pretty much came up with the entire jean on the trade show floor with Mark McNary there. There wasn't too much to it. The button, we picked the fabric. They had a pocket flasher, which actually had some Rockin' Jelly Bean art, which I think they had made for Billionaire Boys Club at one point. I think there was like a little embroidery thing on the coin pocket, which is not seen here, but that was our Pharrell collaboration.
This would have to be like a hard one to find for our archive.
Yes. Published 2013. So, yeah.
10 years ago.
10 years ago. 10 years ago. Wow, it doesn't feel that long ago. But the Beeline Naked and Famous Denim collaboration. Another interesting one that if you want to find a rare one, let's find it. Mom Denim B Jeans. All right, it's kind of silly. Let's find... This is another probably hard to find collaboration. Okay,
I think we have it, actually.
We have one in the showroom, for sure. So there's a Japanese streetwear company called X Large. And let's see if we can find some more about it. Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, you could have clicked on it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think.
Read more. Okay, so here they are. X Large, Naked Famous Denim. Like they have a giant ape is like their logo. Got our girl. We had this printed denim done for the yoke here, and I think we made these in stacked guy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And the fabric itself was indigo power stretch.
Right. So that's a rare one to find. We only made it for them, and it only went to their Japanese distribution. I know they have some distribution in the States and elsewhere, but that was only available in Japan. So some rare ones for your collection there. If you're looking to collect some rare Naked and Famous. That's pretty. Those are some
that must have
rare
been
ones.
From like 2014 also.
Right.
Yeah.
Around that time.
2013 to 14.
Nick Spark about the Tempi Treatment. Thanks for the clarification. I was nervous about Tempi Treatment, but that explanation put it all to rest. Right. And Uncanny Fox writes about his Ed Hardy. No, wait, that's not different response. Sorry, Uncanny Fox. When I was in high school, I worked 2 summer jobs just to save up enough money for a pair of Johnny Blaze jeans. I hardly wore them because I was afraid of them getting ruined. I remember Johnny Blaze was in my high school. That was kind of a sought after brand. Yeah.
What did they look like?
Well, let's look it up. Let's look it up.
Never heard of that.
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah. So these, they had jackets and things like that, but yeah. I remember being very worried. I had a Tommy Hilfiger jacket.
Yeah.
I've probably talked about that one before, but I was terrified to leave it in my locker at school because I knew it would get stolen. My school was like that. So I just had it. I always carried it around with me all day. There was no way I was going to leave that in my locker. But yeah.
Wasn't there a lock? Can you lock?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you could lock your locker. But you can guarantee it would not be in your locker later. Okay. The Raven. I'm getting my brother Naked Famous jeans for his birthday next month. However, he's never worn Selvedge, so I'm not sure what size I should get him. I know he wears 34, but that doesn't help much. The Raven. How would you guys suggest I figure out his pant size without ruining the surprise? If you have access to his jeans,
just
measure them.
Go to his home and just, make an excuse of going to his closet or whatever. Yeah. Find out. Or maybe talk to, like, his, whoever he's living with, his wife or whatever, to just maybe do the job for you. Or, like, you ask them to, like, can I borrow his jeans for a day? Yeah. Or something like that.
Try to get those measurements. Yeah. If you can get those measurements, that's the best thing to do. Now, if he normally wears a 34 and you think that 34 is, maybe just based on, like, what how you feel that 34 looks on him, I would recommend, like, if you're going to get a 34 at just like a shot, I wouldn't say it's a complete shot in the dark, but if he normally wears a 34, if you get him a 34 in the weird guy, he's probably going to be fine. Mm-hmm. He's probably going to be fine. Now, if that 34 is big, you have to understand whether or not that 34 that he wears is big on him, small on him, or, like, absolutely, like, perfect on him. If it's a little big on him, then, yeah, maybe get a 34. It's going to be fine. Aim for a little bit bigger, and that's also fine.
Don't get them hemmed.
Yeah, so don't get them hemmed. Don't get the super guy. Super guy is a slimmer fit. Don't get that. Get the true guy or get the weird guy. You're going to be fine. Those are very everybody fit kind of jeans. Easy guy works for a lot of folks, but that small leg opening maybe isn't for everybody. Mm-hmm. Whereas the weird guy and the true guy have very non-offensive leg openings and fits. They're open to everybody. So,
or take NV's advice, gift card.
Yeah.
But I do see the point of, like, maybe giving
having
them
a thing.
Product rather than a gift card.
Yeah.
It's more meaningful.
Peanuts, is True Guy coming to Unbranded? True Guy has the straight fit, which isn't the True Guy, but we do have a straight fit.
Very similar.
It's in the same realm. Yeah. If you like True Guy, you will like the Unbranded straight fit.
Yeah.
The Unbranded straight fit, admittedly, well, there's probably a few reasons for it, was like the number 2 selling fit on Unbranded's website.
Yeah, recently, yeah. For the past couple of years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And part of the reason why is because the distribution of that fit has never been very wide, just because up until maybe more recently, like, kind of true straights just haven't been front and center.
Everybody wanted taper.
Yeah. So if you wanted that, you'd have to go to the Unbranded website to get it, and then you get it there. So it just kind of, pushed up its popularity on the website in that respect. So, but it's always been a great fit. It's always been, a good seller with, considering what I just said. But people have loved it.
There were times that, like, we weren't selling much at all, and it's like, this is just, like, the slowest selling fit. But, thank goodness we kept it.
Yeah. Chris Noel writes, wasn't X Large started by Beastie Boy Mike D along with a few others?
There was, like, the original, I think it came from somewhere like that, like some kind of, entertainment industry thing. But I think by the time we did work with them, though, it's completely like a Japanese
owned, yeah. or maybe it's a Japanese license from an American brand. I'm not sure.
Actually.
But I think
it wasn't originated in Japan, but
yeah.
it's one of those things.
It's like 7-Eleven. Not originated in Japan,
That's true.
but owned by a Japanese company and has been for a very, very long time.
It dominates in Japan.
Yeah, some people don't realize that 7-Eleven in America, in Canada, wherever it is in the world, is a Japanese company.
I'm sure they have their local, company, but yeah.
I didn't know that until I started coming here regularly. I thought it was an American company that was in Japan, and I didn't realize it was actually a Japanese company.
That was the case.
Yeah.
That was how it started.
Yeah.
But then Japanese 7-Eleven took off. I think the same thing with Lawson. Lawson was an American convenience store, and Japanese took it. And then now I think the only Lawsons that exist. I didn't know that in America there are still Lawsons.
But they're Japanese Lawsons.
Now they're Lawsons. I didn't know that they existed, but the ones that they do exist, when we went to Hawaii, they were Lawson, but it was Japanese Lawson.
Also, shout out to Hawaii Lawson.
Yes.
You know why?
Yes.
I know this is not raw denim related and we're going all over the map on this live stream. That's fine. But Japanese Lawson in Hawaii, all the other convenience store chains in Hawaii, if you wanted to go in there and buy a drink or anything, it was the tourist price. It was the $4 for a can of Coke price. Lawson, Hawaii, all the normal, regular retail prices for everything.
Lawson in one of the main areas of Waikiki Beach, within
a hotel.
Hotel. The equivalent is ABC store next door in the next hotel, or maybe even in the same hotel. Yeah. They would have $4 water with $6 waters or whatever. Yeah. It's insane amount of money for a bottle of water. Lawson had $1 water, $2 was water, and I just couldn't understand.
I appreciated it so much.
Yeah, and I was just how is ABC Mart still more dominant when here? It doesn't make any sense.
Because they sell less and they sell for a lot.
Yes, but I'm hoping by the time we come back, there will be more Lawson. There will be more Lawson and less ABC stores, because ABC stores just insane.
Yeah, I felt abused there.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we got a snack time today.
Yes.
Let's do it.
Drink?
Yeah.
You want to do two?
No, let's do the one. Yaki style.
Okay.
All right, so we found a very, very interesting drink just a couple of days ago. It's a new drink that was introduced in Japan. Risa's going to bring it over. I think we're going to have a little bit of fun with it because it's ridiculous. And ridiculous is the name of this live stream. Sometimes you learn a lot about raw denim. Sometimes you go into a lot of off-topic. Today was a little bit more off-topic than usual. But I hope we all had a good time enjoying.
I feel recently we've been off-topic a lot.
It's okay.
So this is
show it off.
Pepsi Zero. It says Yakisoba Senyo, designed for Yakisoba. So a couple years ago, Pepsi also had one that they designed to drink with karage, which is a fried chicken.
Yeah.
That one.
It didn't taste any different.
Yeah, it was kind of weird concept, but it died down. This year they came up with one that you're supposed to drink with yakisoba. We don't have yakisoba.
It's designed to pair with.
Yes.
So they're considering the pairing situation here.
Yeah.
And of course on the bottle you've got this giant thing of noodles. So when I saw this, I'm like, did they just make noodles flavored yakisoba flavored Pepsi? The answer is no. But it is mint flavored.
Yes.
Which is
this is very weird combo because nobody associates yakisoba pairing with the mint anything.
So this is it. The mint flavored Pepsi Zero.
Specifically for yakisoba eating.
They got my $1. 88 cents I think this cost. 88 yen, something like that. Ooh. All right.
Also, it's Pepsi Zero, so it doesn't have calories. It smells like Pepsi.
Yeah. So let's do a little
Got
there.
a fancy little cup for
Yeah.
this occasion.
Let's do a little. Oh, look at that move. Professional.
Do a little bit. Yeah, I'm good.
Right, you're good. You don't like sodas. Okay, Japan gets all the cool stuff. Topher Cobra, I don't know how cool this is.
Yeah. It might be cool in the way that it's minty.
Yeah, it's definitely weird. And this is...
It really smells like regular Pepsi. I don't smell anything different.
I don't really smell anything different either.
Okay.
Okay.
Cheers, everybody. Wait.
I mean, it has a slight, very faint minty aftertaste.
I wouldn't call this mint if it wasn't...
No, it's mint.
If we didn't say mint. Is it
Oh, I
mint?
can taste it.
Ah.
And it's all in the aftertaste. It stays on your tongue.
That's true. Yes. Yes, I see. I see what you mean. Yeah.
Maybe this is supposed to cleanse the palate so that when you have your yakisoba, you're just...
More fresh.
Yeah.
Fresh. Okay. This is a little less, like, sweet and candy-like.
Yeah, there's no sweetness here. That's because it's a 0.
Well, yeah, but it's still sweet, but it's like, it's less candy, like I don't know, it's less sticky in my opinion.
Uh-huh.
I can see that they designed this to be consumed with something else, something that has a strong taste.
Yeah, I don't like it.
I think this is better than regular Pepsi. I would say.
Yeah, not something I'd reach for. I mean, we tried it and it's fine. Yeah, that's not a top seller.
Mm-hmm. But the mint is very faint.
But it gets you on the back end there. Anyways, are you going to be able to find this at your local import Korean grocery store anytime soon?
Probably not.
Maybe. But I don't know
Yeah.
why they would want to import this.
This is such a specific product.
Yeah.
And nobody's asking for it.
Nobody's
I guess
asking
that's
for
the
this.
point. It's kind of funny.
The
but
only other problem is that it's a 600 ml bottle, and I don't think it comes any smaller than this. And if you were to buy this, like if you're in Japan over the next couple months and you come and you want to try something weird, you got to buy this. You buy this, and then you have 600 mils of it. Like you want 2 sips of this,
yeah.
and then you're done.
You want to share with like 6 of your friends.
Yeah. So I don't know if I would recommend that. But it's 88 cents.
It's interesting.
It's 88 cents. So if you're here, get one. Support the good people at the Pepsi Corporation, and tell your friends that you tried the Yakisoba mint flavored Pepsi Zero.
Yeah,
There
it's
you
a
go.
complicated concept too.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Okay. Mike Knight, I like the orange flavored Coke, but they don't have it anymore. You know how you fix that problem?
Mix orange juice with Coke.
No, you get some orange syrup, and then you put in your Coke. You can make any flavor you want. Apparently, all it is just adding syrup to it. I really never thought, because like vanilla Coke isn't a thing that I could just buy here.
Right.
But I have vanilla syrup. You put it in the Coke, I got vanilla Coke.
Does it taste like vanilla Coke?
Tastes close enough.
There you go.
Works out. Okay.
Orange syrup is not a thing, is it?
Of course it's a thing.
I've never seen it.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
They make every flavor. Okay, one last question. Jove's Abode. Will the Vegeta fabric ever make a comeback? I love a jacket with that fabric. That specific fabric, maybe not. But
that was on Sam Fry's.
yeah, it was on Sam Fry's model.
Maybe something like
Probably
50
something
ounce.
in the realm. I mean, if you like.
Those kind of fabric is usually what we use for MIJ. So if you keep an eye on like MIJ line, you probably see something
1 second.
similar.
I just want to show the Raven something here because they made a comment.
Oh. What? Yeah, speaking of Pepsi.
the Raven might be old enough to remember. He says, I really miss Crystal Pepsi. Easily one of the best sodas. Guys, you got to have your Crystal Pepsi in the fridge for a special occasion. More than one bottle preferred, but yeah, some Crystal Pepsi, everybody. There you go. The Raven writes, oh, that's it. Crystal Pepsi, you weren't old enough for the first time around of this product, but every now and then Pepsi reissues this. Very rarely, but yeah, I've got some Crystal Pepsi right here.
Wasn't it like Couche-Tard exclusive?
In Quebec, it was a Couche-Tard exclusive. Yeah. And
it wasn't in the rest of the country?
I don't think so.
Oh.
So, yeah, I've got one. I've got a couple bottles.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Bahzad has one. That's it. I'm holding on to this for a while because these don't come around very often.
What is a special occasion? Your 40th birthday?
That's it. 40th birthday.
Mm-hmm.
The Raven. Back in 2019, my college had a huge amount. Yeah. Mike Knight writes, holy crap, that's old school. Envy Jolt, Cola, and Crystal Pepsi. I would like some cans of Jolt. They are.
You have one?
I every now and then they have them at Dollar General or something in the States. I think they're the only place that sells them. So anytime somebody goes around a Dollar General, I ask them to bring me some Jolt Cola. But yeah, that's it. Everybody, I hope that that was a nice little surprise there at the end with the Crystal Pepsi. But
what is this? A Pepsi challenge?
yeah, sorry, it's not. It's the Pepsi challenge. Only OGs know about that. The Raven, they brought it back for 2 years, and every lunch bought a Crystal Pepsi with my lunch. Truly a magical time. BD, the next basic will bust out the Orbits. Only OGs know about Orbits. I'll drop a 6-pack off of the NYC store, NYC says, of the Jolt. I might not be there for a while, so don't you know what? If you want to bring it for the boys, I'm sure they'll appreciate it. But maybe I'll hit you up the next time I'll be in the New York area. Mike Knight, is it flat? Does it still have some carbonation? Oh, this is still carbonated, I'm sure. The bottle still feels pretty...
it's from like 2 years ago.
2 years ago or something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah, so... yeah, something like that. Okay, that's it, everybody. That's the live stream.
We did not even show a single jean.
That's okay. We will next time.
All right.
But we had a great time. We hung out. We talked about all kinds of fun stuff. Daniel Carmen was in the house. All you guys were in the house. Carl Morawski made a little appearance in the chat there as well. Good times had by all. We'll see you guys next week. Let us know what you're wearing this weekend in the comment section below this video. And before you leave, because I never asked, hit that like button. Just hit that like button right before we leave, and we'll all have a nice weekend. Okay? See everybody next week. Oh, you know what? Not next week.
Not next week, yeah.
I will be in Paris next week. So, no live stream next week. Maybe we'll do a midweek one, maybe, just to make up for it. You'll have to pay attention to our IG and emails to see if that's going to happen. But, yeah, no live stream next week. And then we'll be back on July the 1st for...
30th. June the 30th.
June the 30th. It'll be July 1st for us. It'll be June 30th for you guys. For the Canada Day sale extravaganza.
Oh, yeah.
So don't forget.
A Canada Day.
Yeah, don't forget on the 28th we're going to have a little special deal here. So maybe mid next week we'll have a little live stream somewhere so we can just talk about that a little bit more. I know we talked about it last week, but for anybody who missed it, anybody who missed the sale talk, watch last week's live stream. You'll see something in the chapters. But yeah, we're going to have a live stream special sale starting on the 28th of June. You want to be there for that. Okay.
All right.
We'll see you all later. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see you soon.